And people can see us now, Court Lalonde.
Oh, wow.
Who is apparently not Sean Capri today. Hello, everybody.
Hey,
everyone's
hey,
doing
everyone,
well
it's
today.
me, not Sean Capri.
You're not even in your car today? Because this isn't even
I'm
an
never in
episode
my
of the
car.
Xbox Drive.
Honestly, I had to work. I had to spend the day working yesterday, and it was just out on the road, and it was so different.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even have a driver's license, so I can't even comprehend the power of the car. I mean, and we're not as cool as the Nintendo Drive yesterday, which actually was recorded in a car yesterday for the first time in a long time.
So weird.
But
well, I guess he couldn't be in his hotel room, right?
Yeah, exactly. So he was just driving around at 6 a.m. yesterday, doing the show, which was impressive. But Court, it's been a busy day today over at Carpool Gaming, and we got two more video. We got another video going up this afternoon after we record this. So it's just like it's a busy
seriously, and then we've got Friday and. She's like, just like my brain was like not even thinking, like when I had to, I'm like, okay, 11 o'clock. I was literally, because you can't, for those who don't know the behind the scenes, when we put out tweets that are embargo tweets, we have learned that you can't tag people in them.
Right.
So I had to literally sit here at my computer and hold my hand on the mouse. So that when my computer hit 11 o'clock, I could tweet, because you want to tag the people that were part of the review and such. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I just literally sat here. And I'm on a conference call, and I'm just like, bang. All right, we're good to go.
Well, actually, I don't know if you knew this, Court, but, back in the day, 3 months ago, actually, back in the day, it was so long ago, you could actually schedule posts on Patreon, but they actually removed that feature when they did, like, the big Patreon overhaul, like, 3 months ago, and now you can't schedule posts anymore. I'm like, why? Why would you remove this feature? Because now when we have embargo and stuff like that, it's just like, well... All right, I guess I'm sitting here right at 11 a.m., which I'm not even usually conscious at. I'm going to press the button at 11.
As someone that does a lot of our social media, today at 11 o'clock was crazy for me, because I'm putting it on Twitter, I'm putting it into the Discord, I'm going over to Instagram, and then I had all these screenshots that I saved, and I was like, okay, I've got a timeout when I put these out as well, so I'm going onto our Instagram, and I'm putting out some screenshots half an hour after we released the review, and then I put it into the story, and I'm just like, oh my god. But
it's a lot.
It's all worth it. It was a great game, and thank you. Thank you. It was awesome.
Yeah, between, The Last of Us review today, and then we also have a Last of Us discussion about on Friday. I know, again, this is an Xbox podcast, but you had to at least mention it, in the little
you definitely had to mention it.
Yeah. It's important. Court. Oh my god, I almost called you Sean. I don't know why.
That's okay. Sean calls you Kato all the time.
It's muscle memory. I can't help it. It's like when for folks that watched the Nintendo Drive today, I was like, oh, I'm going to record, a bunch of retro game footage for the show. And I started playing Super Mario Brothers 3, and I ended up just playing the whole game. Just on the Nintendo Drive. So if you want to watch me play through all of Super Mario Brothers 3 in about 30 minutes, you can go watch the Nintendo Drive this week, which is just hilarious. But anyways, Kevin says that the button is still there, but the button doesn't work anymore for us. And we've actually been working with Patreon to try and get that fixed, and it hasn't been fixed yet. So at some point,
I wish you used to be able to send out scheduled tweets, Instagram posts, everything like that, and you could tag, you could do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And from my understanding, from scouring Reddit and so on and so forth for answers on why it was changed, it was because of corporations not wanting to be tagged in tweets,
right? So
that they can't get ahead of it. So if it's like a time, like I was like, but it doesn't make a difference. It's the time tweet. I don't know. They're like, well, what if it hits like 4 a.m? I'm like, okay, I guess, sure.
It's weird. Anyways, Court, I think that
yes.
we've rambled long enough. We should probably get into this podcast. So we're not gonna yell. By the way, there's gonna be no yelling today. I'm just gonna roll the intro. So stand by. Please get excited, everybody. It's time for the Xbox Drive.
No power greater than X. No power.
Court Lalonde, my friend, the Supreme Court of Canada, here with me on the Xbox Drive today. I know, Sean's away, but welcome back to the show, my friend. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm happy to talk Xbox with everybody. We were talking right before the show. I might have both consoles, but I play a majority of my time on the Xbox. So, sorry, I guess, to the PlayStation Drive.
Even though,
But,
that Mr. Last of Us Part 1, doing our Last of Us Part 1 review.
Still my favorite game of all time.
Literally earlier
100%.
today, over here on now, crossing the lines, crossing the picket fence, hopping on over to the Xbox side.
Well, I say this before. For one, when you're creating content, the Xbox Series X is actually more kind, is a word to use.
Yeah.
When you're sharing and creating video files. PlayStation has gotten better, but the Xbox still it's trumping it in many categories. And then when it comes to third-party games, 9 times out of 10, they look better on the Xbox. Now, if Xbox could have some first-party games like PlayStation does with, The Last of Us and Uncharted, some of my favorite games of all time, best of both worlds, but, or we could just make like a super console and just take the Xbox and the PlayStation and just mold them together.
PlayStation Box X. That's what it'll be called. It'll be great. But anyways, this is the Xbox Drive. We talk about Xbox all the time, except for right now. But before I get into the housekeeping, news story number 1 today, Court, that we have to talk about. That was a thing yesterday. The Xbox Drive has been around for 5 years. And ever since the very first episode of the Xbox Drive, it's been one of our goals, nay, mandates for us to one day be noticed by Senpai and to have McDonald's Canada follow us on Twitter after Sean's trip to McDonald's. But it finally happened, Corp. McDonald's Canada now follows us, Carpool Gaming, on Twitter. And then the best part is, Court, Splenda also follows us on Twitter as well. Pretty much
that
back
one
to
shocked
back.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have been actively speaking with McDonald's Canada on Twitter. I've been actively, replying and communicating and saying hello and so on and so forth. So then when they finally did, I had that video that community member Yarden made that I right away was like, I got to reply with this. And I had to do some bargaining with them. They asked what I was like, you can have free product placement. Ryan just did it. So I am definitely going to clip this and send it to them and be like, see, we kept our end of the bargain. But then when Splenda jumped in, I thought that was hilarious. And then we had Walmart Canada. And then we had Pope, designer of some of the best Xbox controllers you've ever seen. It was like a momentous occasion yesterday.
Yeah. So today's episode is a celebration of all things McDonald's, even though, again,
hey,
this will probably be the
my
last
daughter
time
got a
we
Happy Meal yesterday, and she got her first Pikachu card. She was very excited.
Ooh, that's awesome. I actually, you know what? I went to McDonald's earlier, and I totally forgot to get Pokemon cards today. And now I'm sad. Now I'm like, dang it. I kind of wish I got Pokemon cards today.
My daughter's gotten like 4 packs now. She loves the Pokemon now. I'm okay with her liking Pokemon. It teaches me. I literally, when you guys talk about it, I have no clue what you're talking about.
Yeah. Also, I got to point out as well that, Splenda even created a hashtag for Sean, hashtag decaf with 2 Splenda after the supercut as well. So thank God. Thank God for the wonderful work that Court Lalonde does over here at Carpool Gaming.
Hey, you guys started it. I still say it, and Steve Igvari was pointing it out. The funniest part of that video is when Sean turns to you and asks you if you want anything. Yeah. Like, you guys have been doing it for years. So all I did was just, use the content you've already created.
Absolutely. So, a dream fulfilled. What lofty dream will, the Carpool Gaming gang come up with next? Who knows? But for now, one of our biggest goals, pretty much ever since we started the show, has finally been fulfilled. So it's all going up here from here, Court. But
well, like I said, we got the Infinity Gauntlet going. We have Walmart. We have Xbox. We have McDonald's. We have Splenda.
Yeah.
PlayStation's still flirting with us, but it's just still haven't got the PlayStation follow.
Yeah.
We have Aaron Greenberg from Xbox following us.
Yeah.
You know what? There, the Infinity Gauntlet is complete.
We kind of still need Nintendo though at some point. Nintendo of Canada.
Yeah, that's like impossible.
It kind of is, but
yeah.
That's something we need to do at some point. But anyways, enough about Twitter and social media. So let's talk about Twitter and social media in cleaning the garage. So folks, if you want to support the show, there's a number of ways to do that. Number 1, if you're watching us, write meow on the live stream, or if you're watching us on the video on demand over at youtube.com/carpoolgaming. Don't forget to like the live stream, subscribe to the channel, and then ring that notification bell, ding, 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 to be notified about any of our newest videos, or if you just want it to be alerting you a whole bunch of times today, because there's a whole bunch of stuff going up on the channel today. And let us know in the comments below what you thought about some of today's topics or what you think about McDonald's Canada. We'd love to hear from you. Also, if you're listening on audio feeds, you have one job as well. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and then rate us if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, because that helps the show get discovered. Also, if you want our shows a little bit earlier, you can head on over to patreon.com/carpoolgaming. Throw a little tip in the old tip jar, and out comes content, including some new episodes of the Geek Outs, sweet hangs in the coming weeks, as well as some other stuff. So you can head on over to Patreon. We got lots of cool stuff going up over there. And then last but not least, if you want your own Xbox Drive t-shirt or any other merch from any of our other shows, head on over to bit.ly/CBG merch and get a little t-shirt for yourself. Well, without further ado, Court, let's grab our 8-tracks, pop them in. It is time for the playlist. We got to talk about the games we're playing this week. Now, I know you played Last of Us on PlayStation, but did you play anything on Xbox this week, Court?
Yeah, so I played 2 games on Xbox. I have been playing Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning.
Ooh, the original version or 360?
Sorry?
Are you playing the 360 backwards compatible version or the new remastered?
The new one.
Okay.
The new one. So oddly enough, it was free on PlayStation Plus, and I started playing it there. And then it was on sale the other day, so I bought it on Xbox. And because of Quick Resume, I can't go back. Like, a game like that, I love the fact that I can just keep jumping in, because when I was playing on the PlayStation, I had to keep going back to a loading screen. I always had to load inside a house.
Right.
So I bought it on my Xbox, and I've been playing that. One of my favorite games of all time. I don't know why it is. It's just something about this game that I truly enjoy. I'm a big fan of Fable, and I can't believe I'm going to say this. It's like they took Fable and did an amazing thing with it. They turned it on its head. It's like when everybody at Sucker Punch did Ghost of Tsushima and made the ultimate Assassin's Creed game. Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning is the ultimate Fable game. So, and I have been playing NHL 23.
Ooh! I think you're playing the beta for that, correct? That's
correct.
What's going on.
I am playing the beta, so it's just early beta impressions. But yes, I am playing NHL 23.
Nice. Actually, I'm so glad you threw Kingdoms of Amalur up here, because I haven't really had too many chances to talk to people about that game. You know, I did an episode about Kingdoms of Amalur a long time ago on the Roundabout. You know, we had an episode about Kingdoms of Amalur, but haven't really had too many chances to talk about it on the show. I will say, I wish with the remastered version they did more with it to modernize it at least a little bit, because it pretty much is just pretty much a straight port from the 360 version, just with, you know, some updated graphics. But at the same time, to your point, like, if you like Fable at all, or if that's your style of game and you haven't played Kingdoms of Amalur, that game's amazing. Like, that game is
it's
Fable,
great.
but
The
better.
combat's great. The traversal is great. There's so many nuances that they did such a good job in it, and it's so terrible that, you know, Kurt Schilling is a scumbag and we didn't get another one. Yeah. But like, everything about that game was amazing. I remember getting it for the very first time. My first playthrough was on PlayStation. It was PlayStation 3. And I fell in love with that game. That was the first game I'd ever bought DLC for in my life. Mm-hmm. And then, so when they brought out Reckoning, I saw all the reviews, and the reviews weren't the best. And I'm like,
But again, the reviews talked about a lot of the stuff, what I just mentioned, whereas like people just wish they modernized it more. I think that's
100%.
Reviews.
And then when it came out on PlayStation Plus, I started playing it there, and I was just I've become so used, and this sounds terrible, to games that don't have loading screens, and especially on these big RPGs. It's tough to go back to something that you're so used to doing on an Xbox, like Quick Resume, and it not be there. So when I saw it on sale just the other day, I'm like, I'd already started a 3-hour playthrough on the PlayStation. I just restarted my playthrough on the Xbox. I didn't care. I'm like, this game's amazing. I'm going to play all the way through. That is my new game I'm going to play. After playing The Last of Us, it took a lot of emotion out of me. I'm like, I need to go play something fun for me. Mm-hmm. And Kings of Amalur is so much fun. Game's amazing. Especially
too, because I really love the combat in that game. I think it's just so fun to play. So, that's awesome that you're playing Amalur again. As for me, you know, it's been, you know, review season for me. I actually put up my review for Saints Row on Monday, so you can actually go watch that on the channel if you haven't watched it already, or it's on the Xbox Wrap podcast feed as well if you want to listen to an audio version of that. I talked about it on the show last week. I was really high on it during last week's show, but as you probably heard if you watched the review, I really got hit by bugs in like the last half of the game, which kind of soured the experience for me. But at the same time, I think like it's the type of game, to kind of summarize it, that if you like, you know, open world games where there's a bajillion things to do on the map and you're like taking territories, like if you miss like that old like Assassin's Creed or Infamous style of open world design, and you can just turn your brain off and ignore the story, once the bugs have been fixed, I think this will be the game for you. I think you'll love Saints Row, because I actually really enjoyed the game a lot. Like I had a lot of fun playing it. I just wish it wasn't so broken, to the point where, there were a lot of, freezes or, issues with me being able to progress any further, with the game. So there you go. My review had all my full thoughts though, so go back and watch that. But then I've got 2 other games I'm actually reviewing right now. One of them is this big, hefty collector's edition Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
so cool.
The Cowabunga collection. I have the physical version on Switch, but I've actually been playing it, because this actually hasn't even been opened yet. I'm doing an unboxing video for this as soon as we're done. We're recording today, but I've been playing it on Xbox because I also have it digitally on Xbox as well. And I played through, 2 of the games last night. I played through the arcade game, as well as I played through the arcade game port on the NES, which are, believe it or not, 2 very different games from each other, but equally just as, fun and nostalgic for me personally. I've been having a lot of fun already with the collection, and it just came out yesterday. And I'm excited to do more, but since I've played all these games already, none of the games in the collection I haven't really dove into, except for one of the Game Boy games, which I'm going to give like a serious playtime to tonight to make sure I play it in time for the review. For the most part, a review like this will be me talking about what's in this collection, and whether I think it's worth jumping into something like this. But so far so good with the Cowabunga collection. It's a lot of games that I personally really like as a Turtles fan, but I'll have a lot more to say about that in the review that should go live probably on Friday. And then also, to answer Kevin Ainsworth's question in the chat, are you doing a Soul Hackers 2 review? Yes, I am doing a Soul Hackers 2 review, because I'm currently playing Soul Hackers 2 on Xbox. I didn't pick it up on PlayStation, because it's also available on PlayStation. I'm playing this game on Xbox. Thank the maker that finally Atlas, as a company, is back on Xbox for the first time since Persona 4 Arena Ultimax on Xbox 360. It's been that long, like since 2014, since we've had an Atlas game on Xbox. So I'm so happy to be playing Soul Hackers 2 first on Xbox. The game's awesome as well, like to boot. Like I've been really having a good time with Soul Hackers 2. We talked about it a little bit on the RPG Cave this week, because I did my initial impressions with Garrett on this week's episode of the RPG Cave, but Soul Hackers 2, I feel, is kind of like a very approachable Shin Megami Tensei game, and it's the type of Shin Megami Tensei game that if someone wants to get into the Shin Megami Tensei or Persona games, I actually think Soul Hackers 2 might be a good place to start for those people, because first of all, the game itself, you can probably beat it in about 20 hours. I'm about 15 hours into the game, and I'm maybe 5 hours away from finishing it. I'm very close to the end of the game, but also just the combat's very approachable. They simplified a lot of the elements from the other Shin Megami Tensei role-playing games, or a lot of the Persona combat as well, because it's kind of a mix between those 2 series as far as the combat and the gameplay kind of works. You don't have the day-to-day system from Persona in there, and you don't have a lot of the school simulator stuff from Persona in Soul Hackers 2, but I do like that it focuses on its core main 4 characters, and each of them have their own like individual story arcs that you kind of go on. So there's a lot to like about this game, but I'll talk about that more in a review. Like I said, probably on Monday. I'm aiming to have that one done, but if not early next week. Beyond that, if we get busy with other stuff. So that's all the things I'm playing. Although again, Court, I can already tell is checking his phone, because he's just like, I don't care about Soul Hackers 2.
Hey, I could be Sean and just get up and leave the room.
That's true. I can at least, count on the fact that you didn't just walk out on me. It's just like...
No, I was looking to see if I tweeted that we're live, and we didn't. And I'm like, well, it's too late now.
Well, it's all good. Well, I mean, we're already halfway through the short court. So, anyways, let's slam the brakes on this conversation, because it's time to talk about some breaking news. And honestly, now that, Gamescom's kind of over, it's been a very quiet week in the world of Xbox, so not a ton of news this week, but we got 3 interesting news stories that I wanted to highlight here. We're going to start it off with getting ready for TGS, because we know, Court, that next month in September is like a big month for showcases, surprisingly, because we've got, the Ubisoft showcase, the Marvel Disney showcase, Rumors of a Nintendo Direct and a PlayStation showcase, and then of course TGS next month as well. So lots of showcases to look forward to in September. And Xbox has announced that they will be doing a Tokyo Game Show live stream that'll happen at 5 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on September 15th. It's like 6 p.m. in Japan. So that's why.
What question for you, Ryan? Because I know you know the answer. The Persona games, what's the release date for those?
So October 21st for Persona 5 on Xbox.
So would it be easy to assume that at TGS they're going to cover this game a little bit?
Yeah, I imagine they probably have it as part of their live stream. And then we know Persona 3 and 4 are coming in 2023, but we don't have any release dates for those yet. So
yeah, as I was someone that was sitting beside you when you screamed, instead of looking at the screen, I was paying attention to the person more excited than anybody in the world while that announcement was made at the Xbox showcase.
Of course, I was. In fact, there's literally video evidence of this because someone actually recorded that. And put it on YouTube, and I was very excited about Persona. So they will talk about that there, but this showcase in particular will contain Xbox announcements for Japan and Asian regions, as well as exciting announcements from Xbox's Japanese partners. Now, the reason why normally I would usually kind of brush this off as, there's probably just a lot of announcements for Japan, and probably not a lot of the stuff that we're going to care about here in North America, but last year's showcase that Xbox is, because they've been doing this for a couple of years now in Japan. This is where you got the announcement of Scarlet Nexus and AI the Somnium Files, both coming to Game Pass, but also AI the Somnium Files even coming to Xbox, which is such a niche game that is also really good. That I was never expecting on Xbox, and then this year we got the sequel for it on Xbox as well. So I'm expecting a couple announcements of that caliber of games that are maybe out on PlayStation or on Switch already from Japanese companies that aren't on Xbox already, that will get announced for Xbox during this showcase. And then we will see them probably either, that day or as shadow drops or later in the year.
Do you think we'd get more information on this Hideo Kojima game that we all know is real?
He already announced it. It's just a matter of...
Yes, but I know, but do you think we get more about it now?
I'm doubtful for that, only because, Maybe if he has like a concept trailer ready for it, it just feels like it's just too early for that announcement.
But like, if you remember what he gave for Death Stranding the very first time, he was just like, he's Hideo Kojima. He's gonna do whatever he wants. Like, yeah. It would be a good. You made a point of saying that Xbox doesn't have much to say this week. I think Xbox realized, obviously, PlayStation has a huge game coming out. It's just like, whatever. Just let them have this week. Because even today, it was funny how PlayStation announced all their games that were going to come onto the service. And usually Xbox is like all over that. And Xbox this week is like, meh, we're just not going to do that.
Well, and especially too, like a lot of the Xbox games we had announcements for last week during Gamescom, which I talked about with TPR on last week's show. So yeah, that's why I'm expecting some good stuff here. Kevin actually brings up a good point in the chat, like bring the Ease games or the Trails games over to Xbox. Like that's the type of announcement I'm expecting from Tokyo Game Show. Like maybe Xbox has locked up some more of these Japanese franchises that have been on PlayStation or Switch for a while, like Ease, or maybe something like the Atelier series, like stuff like that coming to Xbox for the first time. I think is the type of thing to expect from here.
Do we think we possibly could see Xbox at that Disney showcase?
Yeah, I think so. First of all,
I think there is that rumored Disney, Xbox exclusive game.
Yeah,
and I think that's the perfect place to show it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Plus, I'm still holding out hope that maybe they talk about Indiana Jones because it's been 2 years since they announced it at this point. So there's a possibility they talk about that there as well. So I think Xbox for sure will be at the Disney showcase too, with something. But either way, I'm excited as someone who loves Japanese games, who wants to see more of these franchises come to Xbox. Like we just got Zero Time Dilemma, which is the third game in the Zero Escape series, which has been out on PlayStation forever. And we got the first two games from that series announced at TGS last year. Its third game in that series just came out this week as well on Xbox for the first time. So that's why
Xbox is doing extremely well in sales out there. Extremely well right now for them.
Unprecedentedly well compared to when you compare it to Xbox One. And in fact, like the Xbox Series is kind of at parity with PS5 as far as current sales. When you look at like the weekly sales charts for consoles in Japan, it's actually on par with PlayStation 5 currently. And with the price increase in Japan for PS5, happening next month, that might change even more beyond that as
Hey,
well.
I would almost go to say that friends and family would also help huge in the boost.
Yeah.
Because if people can share their Game Pass, but they need somewhere to play, because I was looking at the numbers, and the Xbox Series S is doing extremely well over there. So to me, it's a no-brainer that you get more people into Game Pass, you're going to get more consoles sold, and it'll probably be the S.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm hoping that little moves like this help, move the goalpost at least a little bit with Xbox in Japan. But also too, just as a fan of Japanese games, I want to see more of these come to Xbox. Because I like playing games on Xbox, like Soul Hackers as well. Like I like the fact that we're now seeing Atlas bring their games to Xbox, and seeing a lot more companies like Spike Chunsoft open to bring their games over to Xbox. Like, I just want to see more of this type of thing, and I think this event we're going to definitely see more of that as well. Combined with the fact also you'll get announcements for Game Pass in Japan and stuff like that too, which I think is going to be totally part of this as well. So there you go. But speaking of TGS, one other thing that caught my eye that I wanted to, speculate a little bit on, Court, and that is Konami has announced their plans for TGS as well, that they're going to have 3 days worth of updates for their current slates of games that they show, because they have a lot of live servicey kind of games.
Yeah,
like
Monster Hunter, so on. Yeah.
Or, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duels and stuff like that. Like, Konami's got a bunch of stuff like that they're going to have live streams for on the 16th. But on September 16th, they're going to have a brand new title announced from a series that, according to them, quote, it will be from a series that is loved around the world. So, brand new game from Konami. We don't know what this is going to be. We do know that voice actor Yuki Jai will be a guest during the announcement, and this kind of indicates that he's going to be involved with the project. Now, if you don't know who this voice actor is, he's a voice actor in a lot of Japanese anime. He's most famously known for Todoroki and the My Hero Academia anime, which is one of the most popular, anime of the 2010s. So it could be, indication that maybe this is a My Hero Academia game, or just throwing it out there, this voice actor has been known for playing a bunch of characters in Konami's own Suikoden series, which has been dormant for a long time. And it's actually a fan-loved franchise as well. We know that we're getting the spiritual successor, Eiyuden Chronicles 100 Heroes, out next year. But I know a lot of people have been speculating online that maybe this is a indication that a new Suikoden game's coming. But I'm actually going to, I think that maybe that's a bit of a rare red herring, because I personally think that this might be the announcement of Silent Hill or maybe a new Castlevania game, because those are all...
Well, I thought I read somewhere that they pretty much Castlevania and Metal Gear take it off the table. That I would love. Those are the two I wanted. And so I started looking at this, and then I did down the rabbit hole, and then I guess people are already saying definitely not Castlevania or Metal Gear, but something else.
That's why I'm actually pretty sure it's like... I'm like 80% that this is Silent Hill. Like, we've been hearing about a new Silent Hill game for a while now.
There's screenshots leaked, right?
Yeah.
The screenshots leaked of this game. It's real. It's a real thing.
And in fact, we kind of know that there's like 2 Silent Hill game developments projects at Konami right now, because one from Bloober Team and then one from another team. So I'm 80% on this being Silent Hill. I also think that there's a chance this could actually be Suikoden, which would be amazing, because Suikoden's a long-running turn-based RPG franchise from the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1 era that I personally really enjoy. I know, Delroy in our Discord is also a huge fan of it. Him and I have had conversations about it a lot. It also could be, something else. It could be, again, a My Hero Academia game, or it could be another licensed game of some kind, because again, this is from all they said, it's a franchise that people around the world love, in quotations. So they didn't even specify that it has to be a Konami franchise. But I'm really excited to find out, what else Konami is doing. But Court, now that I've thrown out there, do you think it's Silent Hill? What do you think it could be?
Well, my first thought for me is the games that I would want would be Castlevania. It was one of the first Konami games I've ever played in my life. And then my next thought was the Metal Gear, and that's what I said. I started looking into what everybody was talking about today, and then I got to the depressed side of everybody. But like the people that leak stuff like Tom Henderson and stuff, they were like, it is not Metal Gear, it is not Castlevania. I'm like, So for me, the only other game that I would care to play would be Silent Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, if it's the other games that you mentioned, I didn't even know what they were until you just said them out loud. So,
Excellent.
yeah, I'm definitely on that Silent Hill train. But it's not to say I won't try things. I have promised Matt from the PlayStation Drive. I have Yakuza 0 downloaded onto my console. I am supposed to play that for him because I promised him I would. So maybe that will get me into those more Western style RPGs and those games.
Nice. I mean, you never know. It could also be a new Blades of Steel game, Court, which, I know would just make us very happy. But I know it's not going to be that. But, Konami's sitting on a bunch of franchises like that, like Double Dribble or, a bunch of, NES Konami franchises that they haven't done anything with. So it could be one of those, too.
Who did Contra? Was that?
That was Konami as well.
I was going to say, because I remember the old logo. I used to think, like, the old logo was just so cool because, like, I guess technically Blades of Steel was the first game because I used to play it in the arcade with the rollerball thing.
Yeah.
So I remember as a kid growing up with the NES, Konami was that logo that came across the screen a lot. I think Bayou Billy was Konami as well.
It was, yeah. And in fact, actually, if you look back on a lot of NES box arts, the Konami had a very distinct look to all of their box arts where it have like almost like a gray like border to the box with the Konami logo on it. And then the art was
Bayou Billy had the Konami logo at the very top, right?
Yeah. But then also during the NES era, because, they could only publish so many games under the Konami label on NES, they also had to publish games under the Ultra label, which is actually where we got, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games as well, where even though Konami were the publishers, they couldn't publish them as Konami, so they had to, invent a different company called Ultra to then do that. So,
why weren't they allowed to publish them?
because Nintendo, to avoid what happened with the video game crash in the early 80s, they limited publishers to only being allowed to publish 4 games a year. And Konami wanted to publish more than 4 games a year, so they had to make a second company in order to do that, which is just funny. And a lot of companies did that as well. Or like Atari, made Tengen, which then, made like, they reproduced like the NES lockout chip to then make their own like unlicensed games for the NES to get around that as well. So a lot of companies.
Do you remember when licensed games were like that thing that we all wanted to get? And then once we play it, we're like, oh, it's so hard. It's so bad. And it's just like we kept getting fooled every time. Like it was Konami and Sunsoft, I think, made the Batman game and made. It was these games because I remember the Ninja Turtles and that the whole time you talked about the Cowabunga collection, I'm like, I want to go back and play the NES game and just be hurt all over again on how hard that game is for no reason.
But at the same time, this time around, you don't have to worry about continues, at least with the Cowabunga.
Oh yeah, but that water level it's so hard in the sewers.
But to your point about Batman, that first of all, that was Sunsoft, and that game's still amazing. So I'm actually kind of sad that you were like, oh man, I'm a little bit.
Well, no, Sunsoft. That game was not bad. The Game Boy version was bad.
Oh yeah,
and then they did
a sequel, Return of the Joker. They did a sequel called Return of the Joker. Sunsoft did, and that one was not as good. But
like the Spider-Man games were always good. The licensed Spider-Man games, especially I think it was Spider-Man versus Carnage. I think it was.
Maximum Carnage.
Yeah, that game was so good.
That game's really awesome, but. In fact, that talks like this, make me wish that maybe there were more collections like the Cowabunga collection, like that, where what if we got like a collection during the Marvel Showcase of a bunch of old Spider-Man games being.
How about do a Marvel collection because the X-Men games were good too?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like they could do all. I mean, that's just a license to print money right there if they already have the license for that.
Disney does like money.
Yeah. But anyways, we went off on a big tangent there, so we're going to probably relax, return to Xboxville. But luckily, with our next news story, Court, I'm very happy to have you in particular here to talk about this one, because NHL 23 officially has a release date. It'll launch on Xbox One and Series X and S on October 14th. In addition, women will now become a central part of NHL 23, including additions in hockey Ultimate Team modes, as well as women's leagues throughout the game, which is a first for the series. Because you've always been able to create a female player in Create a Player. For a long time now, like I think that you've been able to do that going all the way.
You just couldn't use them really.
Well, I mean,
you could make them for like
you could use them for be a player and franchise modes, but you couldn't use them in the online modes.
Correct. So like a lot of us do World of Chell or we do Hockey Ultimate Team, and those are the modes I play.
Right.
Because they don't give us GM connected, and EA will never give us GM connected because they just don't like us. But that's a story for another time. This is
Right.
a game I've personally played every single iteration of it since NHL PA on Sega Genesis, which was actually the first version of this game. A lot of people say it's NHL 93. It isn't, because NHLPA Hockey 92 was the very first version of this game.
That was before
On
they
Sega
start
Genesis
putting
only.
years on it, because like I actually have that cartridge, in my storage right over here for Sega
And even
Genesis
they
games.
re-released it on the Super Nintendo, and it was called NHLPA Hockey. And then we had NHL 93, we had 94, and it kept going.
Yeah.
But it's a game I love. I will be reviewing it. I will be playing it on Xbox. I'm currently playing the beta right now. I've played about 2 hours of it last night. They only let you do World of Shell right now, which is fine. It's just letting you go out there and see if there's any hiccups or any. It runs smoothly. I haven't noticed anything drastically different, but I know that there's new deeks, there's a lot of new modes. But as a father to a daughter who I just bought her all brand new hockey equipment, I am coaching her this year. To be able to create, that's going to be my creative player this year. I'm going to create her, and that's going to be my World of Shell player. It's really cool to me. Last year, from harassing them, James Sobolski, he actually knows my cousins, and he does the announcing. He does the voiceover on the game.
Yeah.
I messaged him over and over again, and Clappy, all the creators. I kept asking for my last name to be in the game. My father played NHL in 11 years, and my last name's never been in the game. So it got put into the game last year. So I'm going to be able to create my daughter and have her last name and then show her in a video game playing hockey, which is huge to me. So this year's edition of the game is great because it's the first next-gen edition. The games before were just ports. The game was actually made for the PS4 and the Xbox.
Yeah.
One X.
Which is typical, like whenever they do like whatever first iteration of an EA Sports game for a console, that's usually how they do it, where it's usually a port.
Well, except for FIFA and Madden, they always give you the brand new next gen version. It's NHL, it always gets the shaft.
Right.
So, but I'm excited to play it. I'm excited to get more into it. It's definitely a game I'm going to play. It'll probably take me away from MLB The Show, which is crazy because I'm still playing that to this day.
Eventually,
I didn't
some
even mention
game
it
has
until
to.
now. I tried not to mention it, but which I play on Xbox, and it's a PlayStation Studio game, which is more hilarious. But
Yeah.
I am excited to play more into it and see what extra additions they have. They also have a lot of more accessibility features.
Right.
Community manager Marcus McCracken, he is very excited to see if he's able to play this game. He's had a lot of issues playing it before, so the menu narration is on. So when you go into the game, all the narration is just automatically turned on when I was playing it, which is not. At first, I was like, oh, they keep repeating everything I see on my screen, and then I totally understood why. So it was very nice to see.
Nice. Well, I'm actually also very stoked for NHL 23, especially to your point where it is like, this one's going to feel like, it's the next gen version of NHL, even though it is also coming to Xbox One. I'm always very excited whenever they have like the first NHL of a new generation. Like that's the one I always end up picking up. So I will probably end up also picking up NHL 23 when it comes out this year. And I'm excited to pick it up as well. Like, again, I also usually when I play, because I always usually do be a pro mode every time I pick up an NHL game. And I always make a female player. I've always been doing that. And I love that there's more support for, female players in NHL this year. Combined with the fact too that I'm just, excited to be playing NHL again, getting like a new Series
And
X
yeah, and your
specific
team
version.
won't suck this year. They
There's that
almost
too.
did, but they got players, right?
Yeah.
It worked out.
It'll be fine. Yeah, it could have been a disaster court, but
It could have been a tire fire. Your logo could have been the exact thing of what the season was going to be.
yeah. I mean, at least we're better than Leafs, I think. So there you go.
Yeah, everybody's better than the Leafs. They suck.
Yeah.
They're very good at going golfing. Yeah.
Exactly. And at some point later this year, Sean and I, of course, will have another rivalry if inevitably the Flames and the Oilers make the playoffs again. But we'll see. We'll save that for another day because we got to let some of our friends into the car with us. It is time for the carpool. And lots of great questions this week, so shout out to everyone who suggested questions for us this week. Starting off with Mike at BlazeKnight0923, who asks, I asked the PlayStation Drive, now I'm going to ask you, what game got the best Xbox One to Xbox Series glow up? So, Court, first of all, I think you already answered this on the PlayStation Drive. Is your answer any different for Xbox specifically than PlayStation? Because I don't remember
Gears
what
of
you
War
said for that.
Gears. It's unbelievable. Like that game doesn't, that when you play that was the very first game I played on my Xbox Series X. It feels like it was made for the X. Like, it's unbelievable the glow up on that game.
Nice. I'm gonna say Panzer Dragoon Orta, which is an original Xbox game. It is backwards compatible, but man, looking at that game on Xbox Series X versus even One X, because it got One X enhancements, but the enhancements were even strengthened even more with Series X, because there's 4K cutscenes for the game now, as well as all kinds of amazing stuff that they did to it. It looks like a brand new game.
It changed the frame rate too, right?
It did.
It's 120 frames.
Yeah. So it looks and runs incredibly well on Series X. It looks like a brand new game, and that game came out in 2003. So I have to give it to Panzer Dragoon Orta. Also, it's an amazing game too, and if just not enough people played it, so got to go check that out.
I'm actually very excited to play some of those Activision games.
Yeah,
because I'm a big fan of backwards compat and the glow up that Xbox does on their games. I think it's phenomenal that you can play an old game and it looks so much better. So I'm very excited to see what they do with the Call of Duty games and some of those Activision titles that if they can get the licensing, please, give us Spider-Man. How awesome would it be if all of a sudden Game Pass is like, well, we kind of do have Spider-Man. It's just the Activision versions.
Yeah,
it's never going to happen.
I still don't see it happening because, I don't know if Marvel's going to play ball with that, but you never know. We've been hearing things about old Activision games maybe coming back after the deal happens. So I'm excited for that. But next up, Captain Logan asks, Xbox has yet to really make waves this summer, with the latest bomb being Saints Row. I don't know how much that's really on Xbox's side. It's just as buggy on PlayStation.
As Dust Falls, right behind me. That game was amazing.
That game was amazing. So Captain Logan asks a different, completely random question. What's your perfect Sunday? So totally different from that. So Court, what's your perfect Sunday look like?
Perfect Sunday for me is getting up, going to the gym, and then going for a bike ride with my daughter. And then we go to the farmer's market local to my house. And then we have a nice farmer's market lunch. And then I spend the whole day with her. That's a perfect Sunday to me.
Nice.
Doesn't involve video games in any way, shape, or form.
Well, mine's the complete opposite, because mine totally involves video games, because a perfect Sunday for me is, sleeping in until, 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then, waking up with some pizza, and then playing some video games and just having a good day. That's just the perfect Sunday for me, Court.
Hey, to each their own. Yeah, I'm sure no one would want to be the Sunday that I have. Like, let's be honest here.
Yeah, exactly. Although, just to throw it out there, my Sunday is usually working until 2 in the morning. So, I mean, when I talk about my perfect Sunday, I basically talk about Thursdays every week. And
fair enough.
The Snack Network claims, I think they meant ice cream. Well, they didn't spell it like, they spelled it like Sunday, like the day of the week, rather than ice cream Sunday.
If they meant ice cream, mine is definitely going to be Kawartha Dairy. I live up in Northern Ontario, and I can get Kawartha Dairy's ice cream. It is phenomenal. So it has to be, for me, it has to be in a waffle bowl. So you can get the waffle cone bowls with chocolate, vanilla, and then maybe mint chocolate chip, and then some hot fudge sauce and whipped cream, and then we're good.
Whereas I don't have an answer to that question. I haven't eaten ice cream in 23 years because I don't eat ice cream. So
yeah, I'm lactose intolerant, and ice cream is the one piece of dairy that I eat, and I take the pain with a smile on my face.
Excellent. Well, moving on, we got TPR, aka Taylor, who asks the question, what are your guys' evergreen games? Video games that you can't help but turn on every week or every couple weeks, no matter what. If Court's answer is MLB The Show, is there anything besides that for evergreen games? Do you have an evergreen game besides MLB?
It was 100% my answer. To be crazy, another game for me that I go back to on a monthly basis. I own it on PlayStation 5 and I own it on Xbox, and there is no cross save in this game, and that is The Division 2. I've put over 500 hours into that game since its release, and I have full leveled up characters with everything on both consoles.
Okay, nice. As for me,
different answer.
As for me, so I have 2 different answers for this, and I guess one that's more regular is just an MMO of one of the. It's always one of these 2. It's either Final Fantasy 14 or World of Warcraft, and it just depends on what has a newer patch coming out. Currently, it's World of Warcraft because I'm getting ready for the new World of Warcraft expansion coming out this fall. So I'm getting myself reacclimated with the game a little bit and diving into that. But in between that or Final Fantasy 14, I pretty much play those daily at this point, even if it's just for an hour to kind of do my daily stuff and kind of sign off for the day. That's just always been a part of a daily routine for me. And plus, those are really good podcast games. And I listen to a lot of gaming podcasts outside of what we do here at Carpool Gaming, or a lot of movie podcasts. So I'll usually do that while playing an MMO. Is usually my time for that. So that I put that in there. But then my other answer is just retro games in general. And I have a lot of other evergreen games that are kind of in my retro rotation, like any of the first 6 Mega Man games, or Super Mario Brothers 3, or now with the Cowabunga collection, any of those old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games. Like, I imagine like the Cowabunga collection probably never leaves my Xbox hard drive because, every once in a while I'm just going to get a hankering to go back, just like I would when I had my arcade 1-up, arcade machine for Turtles, to, pop on the Turtles arcade game and just play
me, Ryan.
For
you convinced me.
Oh?
I am buying it right now. I hadn't done it yet. I'm buying it right now.
Yes,
I want to play NES and Ninja Turtles. I want to play it bad.
Yes. I mean, you got 3 of them in there, too, because you got the Manhattan Project, the arcade game port, and then the original one.
I had a ton. Shredder's Revenge is a game that my daughter and I played for almost 2 weeks. She really wanted to play that game. So we played it together. So this is another one that I know I can play 2 players. So I'm in.
Yeah. Absolutely. And also, one of the things I wanted to throw out there for that real quick, now that we're on the topic, is the original Turtles for NES. One of the things that people used to have a problem with it was that they get lost, but there's actually a built-in strategy guide in the menu with full maps for all the levels, so you don't get lost in the NES Turtles game too. So
thank God. Honestly, that game.
But yeah, so TPR, like my evergreen games are, a lot of them are, again, some of my favorite games of all time: Super Metroid, Mega Man 1 through 6, Ninja Gaiden on the NES, Super Mario Brothers 3, stuff like that. So
just bought it. Look at me. I just pulled a Sean Capri. Yes. I live just purchased a game. Because Ryan's been talking about it all week. He's been showing off his stuff. And then all he's done is put me down memory lane talking about the game during this episode. I'm like, I just want to, I'm going to go play this for an hour after this episode.
I'm clearly just an influencer now, Court. This is what this has proven. I've influenced you to go buy.
Look at me. Everybody go to Swiss Chalet. Try out the new beef.
Although, just throwing it out there, Court. I also saw you comment that how you were like, man, I really want to buy Saints Row now after my review.
I honestly, after your review, even though it's just Saints Row to me is a game where you can go off and just do mindless. And I said to you, as soon as they patch the issues, I'm gonna go buy this game.
Yeah, I think it'll be perfect when it's on sale at that point too, and it'll be fixed. Like, that's the perfect time to get that game. I think people will like
it's the perfect game to not care. The thing I like about Saints Row's games is I don't have to worry that I'm losing track of the story. I worry about anything. It's just to go in and do mindless stupidity.
Yeah,
that's what I like about them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things I liked about the new one as well. Just no dildo bats or, dubstep guns, but, everything else is kind of fair game with it.
Well, especially, I just played a very extremely serious game, and I even started my second playthrough today, and I skipped a story beat at the very beginning because you can do a skip cinematic. Right. Because I didn't feel like going through that again. Mm-hmm. I was like, you know what? I just had an extremely emotional journey. I literally said to myself this week, I'm like, I'm going to play NHL. I'm going to play MLB. I'm just going to play who cares about games. But now, Ninja Turtles, winner, winner, chicken dinner, like all day long.
Please be excited. All right, next up, we got the Muffin Mon, a.k.a. Kevin Ainsworth, who asked about a game that I don't think either of us have played, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Should I buy Pac-Man World Repack? I've never played the original game. So this was originally a PlayStation 1 game that just got it ported to Xbox this week for the first time. Honestly, I haven't played it. Like, it's a 3D open world, or not open world.
I saw this game.
Pac-Man game. I mean, it looks fun.
I have debated buying this for one reason. When I look at games like that, I look at a game, my daughter can play it.
Right.
So I enjoy playing games with her, and we have an office set up here where I have the TV and I have the 2 monitors, but her desk is right beside me, to the right of me, or wherever people are seeing. The audio listeners, sorry, but to the right of me, there's my daughter's desk. And so when I'm playing a game, she's always looking over my shoulder. So I try and play games that she'd be interested in playing with me. And so I looked at Pac-Man. I'm like, well, she loves the Sonic games. Maybe this is a game I buy just so she can play it.
Yeah. Like, I've heard good things about it, but I I never played it myself, so I don't have a recommendation for it. Like, this is the type of game for me personally, though. Since I haven't played it before, this is I'm gonna wait till it's on sale, and then I'm probably gonna pick it up then.
Fair
And
enough.
play it. Especially because there's just so many games coming out right now. So I my budget for games is kind of filled at this point.
I just realized a game that I want from Activision so badly. So, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants in Manhattan. I just tried to go buy it, and I can't because...
it got delisted. Yeah.
Correct.
But it'll come back at some point. But yeah, none of that, Court, I don't know if you knew this, but you can still buy physical copies of it. But the physical copies for that game are like uber expensive. It's one of the most expensive Xbox One physical games out there.
Oh,
it's
I was
up there
literally
with.
about to go look. I was literally about to go look.
It's
online.
up there with Amazing Spider-Man 2, which also had the same problem. Because even though that game's really bad, it's a Spider-Man game on Xbox that was delisted. So the only way to play it now is to buy a physical copy, which is about $200 now. So
not worth it.
yeah. Well, next up, Skinny Matt asks, "What is your current short list for personal game of the year?" Now, we actually got this question, I think last week. Or a similar question to it. It was either last week or 2 weeks ago. So I answered this pretty recently. So I'm going to defer to you, Court, as the guest. What is your personal short list for game of the year? And again, this isn't, critic Court speaking. This is, what are the games you enjoyed the most? Personal.
So for me, and I even said this at the beginning of the year, this was going to be the year of, I was going to pick my game of the year was going to be what game I had the most fun with. So right now, it's going to be, even though I play MLB The Show every day, it's definitely in my top 5. I'm going to have to go with Shredder's Revenge solely based on the amount of times I played it with my daughter. Like a good solid 2 weeks of playing this game every day and then finishing it with her was a huge point for me this year. If I had to go with my for me, I'd pick Shredder's Revenge just because of what I've done with it. But a game I just played and just finished. It's right up there, but it's a remake. So you know what? I'm not going to count it.
Okay. As for me, again, I talked about it a few weeks ago. It's shifted a teensy bit because, I've removed the Quarry from my personal top 3. It's now in my top 4 because I think, even though I'm not finished it yet, I think I'm ready to at least put Soul Hackers 2 as kind of my number 3 personal favorite game. I really am enjoying this game a lot, and maybe that'll change, between now and when I finish the game this weekend. But it's tentatively at in my number 3 slot. Live Alive, I talked about it before. That was my personal favorite game of the year before. It still is now. And then As Dusk Falls, I really enjoyed that game a lot. The story, I still think about it. In fact, Sean and I, a couple days ago, we're talking about like another revelation that we didn't really realize you could do in the game. I just really, there's so much depth to that game, and I just really enjoyed it. So
I'm waiting. So I have to go to Texas in the middle of September for 5 days for work. And that is the game I'm going to play. I've decided because I can only play everything either on my iPad, right?
Right.
So it's all going to be games that I can play like that. So As Dusk Falls that was where I was going to do my second playthrough because I thought it'd be the perfect game to play at the airport on my phone.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would imagine the touch controls are going to be really good for that game, or at least I know this actually because I forgot that I played it with the touch controls.
Yeah. So that was my plan. I was going to do my second playthrough because I was originally going to bring my Switch for the travel. And then I was like, wait a second, Microsoft was awesome enough to give us these awesome laptops. Yeah. So I was going to bring that laptop with me and use that and play games in the cloud and see how it goes.
Nice. All right. Next up, we got Nagachaku, who asked, what kind of pizza do you guys get to celebrate the release of the Cowabunga collection? I got a Hawaiian pizza from the one and only Pizza Hut. So I don't know about this. First of all, pineapple on pizza? Really?
Yeah, that's gross, dude.
I mean,
that's gross.
Yeah, I think we're both in the Steve Vigvari camp where it's just no, we can't do pineapple.
Yeah, that's a no for me. Unfortunately, due to an intolerance that I have in my body, and a heartburn, I don't eat pizza anymore, and especially not Pizza Hut because I like my insides. Right. But I do. If I would make a homemade cauliflower crust or naan bread crust and my wife makes a homemade tomato sauce and we would use that. And then I would do a margarita pizzas. It's right up there as my favorite, with the
Nice.
actual huge chunks of mozzarella on top. Like, you got to go the right way.
Of course. As for me, mine would be a barbecue chicken pizza from Papa John's. I mean, if I've got to go, because first of all, if you're going to get a pizza to celebrate the Turtles, you got to get it from, a pizza chain like Domino's or a Papa John's or a Pizza Hut or something like that. Like, it makes sense from the Turtles when you think about, when you look back at the Turtles movies and stuff. And I just like barbecue chicken pizza a lot. So that's my answer.
Wait, do you know in the Division 1, there is a Ninja Turtles Easter egg?
I didn't know that, but I also barely played that game.
And in the Division 2, when you go back to New York, there is also 2 Ninja Turtles Easter eggs. There's a Casey Jones Easter egg, and then there's a Ninja Turtles Easter egg. So there's one of the sewers that you walk by that's halfway open, and there's a pizza box hanging out.
My God.
And then there's another one where there's a hockey mask, a Casey Jones mask, just sitting on a hockey stick in an alleyway near a sewer.
That's too many Ninja Turtles references.
It's not. That is amazing.
Also, speaking of Pizza Hut, from Nagachaka's question as well, the NES Ninja Turtles game for TMNT 2 in the Cowabunga collection, I'm sad to report that they removed all the Pizza Hut branding from it. So I actually posted this on Twitter because I'm like weirdly nostalgic for the NES version of that game that has like the Pizza Hut branding everywhere, especially because like for those that don't remember, when you bought that game, it came with a coupon for a personal pan pizza of your very own that you could then bring to your local Pizza Hut and use. So I'm sad that they
think the
removed
DVD collection was also that. The you can't buy it anymore. I've seen people have it online, but there's a DVD collection that's the DVDs come in a Pizza Hut box.
Yeah, and they actually with Shredder's Revenge, if you bought it from Limited Run, it also comes with a Pizza Hut coupon as well. But that you'd only use that coupon in the States, so it makes us just sad here in Canada. But whatever. All right, last question of the week comes to us from Tim Powlin, who says, "Got any quick 1,000 achievement Game Pass recommendations for
Peppa Pig.
Tim?" Yeah, I know
No,
you
I
already
even
said
think
Peppa Pig in the Discord as well. There's a couple other ones as well. Like any of the visual novels on Xbox as well are also really good ones as well.
Any of the games from Outright Games, there's a bunch of them. Ryan's Rescue Squad is on there. Any of those games, good 4 hours, you got 1,000 achievement points. You weren't even thinking twice.
Yeah, you just put in a little bit of work and you got it. So
You don't even have to put in work. My 4-year-old, my daughter was 4 when she got her first 1,000 gamer score, and she did it 3 times in a row. There's no work involved. Those Paw Patrol games, it's an hour and a half.
Also, just throwing it out there, Avatar: The Last Airbender for Xbox 360, that's backwards compatible. 90 minutes, you get full gamer score by pressing the X button over and over again. So,
I remember that. That was the very first video I ever looked up. Was when I had my Xbox 360. I started going on YouTube to figure out how to get some crazy gamer scores.
yeah, exactly. Well, anyways, Court, we got to go. But before we go, Court Plugs go.
If you want to find me, you can find me at Court Lalonde on Twitter, or you can find me on all the Carpool Gaming socials at Carpool Gaming on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram.
All the places.
Oh, and you can also find me in the Discord. Jesus, I'm everywhere.
All the places. You're like City TV, Court. You're everywhere. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford. I'm actually, tweeting again. So you can actually go and follow me again.
I see that. You replied to me.
I know. I'm well, not only that. Again, I was always replying to people during my break, but I was never doing my own tweets. But now I've even started.
Well,
doing that.
you're inspired by Ninja Turtles this week. I feel.
Clearly.
I feel Ninja Turtles has inspired you.
A little bit. But also, again, to Court's point, you can find us everywhere as well at Carpool Gaming. You also find us right here on YouTube at Carpool Gaming, as well as podcast services around the globe. So for Court Lalonde, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been the Xbox Drive episode 255, and we're out.